This video demonstrates how to turn multiple Excel sheets of one workbook into individual workbooks of their own by using the Python library OpenPyXL. Here is our testing document, which contains fake budget numbers for the months of January, February, and March. I will use Python to make each of these individual sheets a workbook of their own, with the title of the new workbook being the current titles of the tabs below. Here I'm bringing in the workbook as WB. Let me first start by collecting the sheet names of the workbook and storing them in the WB Sheets variable. Printing these out below, we can see that we have captured all three sheets as strings in a list. Next, I will have this for loop perform the work of creating a new workbook and assigning these worksheets the contents of that workbook and the title names. Let me work through this line by line to explain what's going on. First, I start by importing the workbook function from OpenPyXL. The workbook function creates a new workbook in memory, so we will be utilizing this to create a new workbook for each loop of the following for loop. Next, I begin the for loop by cycling through each worksheet of the list of worksheet names. Within the for loop, I assign the sheet to copy variable the worksheet object for the loop's worksheet. I then create a new Excel workbook by assigning the new WB variable the workbook object. I then assign the new WB sheet variable the only sheet contained on the new workbook in memory. That is done by using the active attribute of the new workbook object. Since we only have one worksheet, that worksheet is the active one by default on a brand new workbook. In the inner for loop that follows, I iterate through the initial sheet to copy variable by using the iterRows function. If I don't pass the values only to true, I end up getting an error with OpenPyXL telling me that I cannot copy one sheet to another workbook. So instead, I'm extracting the values from one sheet and placing them in the new sheet with the new workbook sheet variable used in the for loop. My iterRows function is going through each row and appending the row from my initial sheet to the row of the new sheet. I complete the for loop by saving the new workbook with the name of the sheet that is being copied. Let me execute this, and keep your eye over here on the left in the directory to see what appears. Now we can see three new Excel workbooks named based upon the monthly budget that they contained. Opening them up, we can see that each has one sheet and contains only the information for the month of that workbook. So overall, it is actually quite straightforward. You loop through every sheet you have of your initial workbook, creating a new Excel workbook in memory, pasting all of the content from the first workbook into the new one, and then saving that new workbook with the name that you desire. Thank you for watching. Please let me know in the comments below if this was a helpful video. Do give it a thumbs up if you liked it, as that really does help other people find this content. And don't forget to hit subscribe so that you know when the next video drops.